Hello, my name is Ryan Gottfredson, and I'm the Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling author of the book Success Mindsets, which I guess makes me a mindset expert, and I am a mindset coach. And I love helping people awaken to their mindsets, because here's what I've learned for myself. As I have awakened to my mindsets, it's allowed me the ability to upgrade my life, upgrade my leadership, upgrade how I approach the world. And I know that if you can awaken to your mindsets, it'll allow you the opportunity to do the same thing. So I want to help you do that in this video. I think in order for us to awaken to our mindsets, we need to understand that we have an internal operating system within us. Our internal operating system contains programming that we are prone to repeat. The reality is as we've gone through life, we've developed this program. I call it if-then programming. If this happens, this is how we typically operate. Right? Our body likes this type of programming because it makes our processing and operation more efficient. Now, that could be a good thing, but that could also be a bad thing. It depends on the quality of that programming. The other thing we need to know about our internal operating system is that it operates automatically and below the level of our consciousness. We usually don't know that this programming is going on, and regardless of whether this programming is of high quality or of low quality, it generally feels right and it feels good to us. This is one of the reasons why it's so tricky to dive into the quality of our internal operating system. Is regardless of what it is, it feels right. And then third, our internal operating system dictates whether we respond to common tensions in a manner that is more self-protective or more value creating. You see, when we have a higher quality internal operating system, we'll approach common tensions in a way that leads us to create value over the long term. But if we are wired more for self-protection, it protects us in the moment, but actually holds us back from creating value in the long term. And I want to help you awaken to the degree to which you are wired more for self-protection versus value creation. And the way that we step into this is we look at our mindsets. What I've discovered is that there are 4 different sets of mindsets that are out there. We have these mindsets, and these sets of mindsets, they range on a continuum from self-protective to value creating. Now, our mindsets along each of these continuums fall somewhere along that continuum. And so the question becomes, are we more wired for self-protection, or are we more wired for value creation? And I'm going to walk through each of these sets for you to help you to better feel into what is your wiring like. Is it more self-protected, or is it more value creating? So let's step into fixed and growth mindsets. And to help us to understand each of these mindsets, I'm going to identify a core tension that's involved in our internal operating system. So the core tension here with fixed and growth mindsets is this tension between looking good and learning and growing, particularly in performance context. When we are in a performance context and we have more of a fixed mindset, we're more focused on looking good, right? If I'm a student in a class, for example, I want to get the top grade. Well, what this does is it drives us to be more focused on hitting expectations. There's some benefits to that, right? But at the same time, we are prone to only holding on to doing what we know will be successful. We want to hold on to proven formulas, what has worked in the past. That can make us a little bit more rigid. And it causes us to avoid learning zone challenges. Now, here's what I mean by that, is we could face a number of different challenges, right? We could face a comfort zone challenge. This is pretty easy. So if I'm here on this left-hand side, and I face a comfort zone challenge such as, what is 12 times 13? Right? You may not know that immediately off the top of your head, but you could figure that out, right? So you could climb up to this other edge. So that's a comfort zone challenge. Performance zone challenge exists at the same level that we're currently at. Now, those are challenging, but we generally feel that they're doable. Learning zone challenges are challenges that require us to go from where we're at down into this pit of uncertainty and go to a higher level than we've ever been before. And what fixed mindset people really dislike is learning zone challenges. And here's why. Is because if they get into this pit of uncertainty and try to climb up that other side, and if they aren't successful on their first attempt, they believe that everybody else will see them as a failure. So people with a fixed mindset are prone to avoid learning zone challenges because they generally have a fear of failure, right? That's the self-protective tendency. And they also believe that success is based on raw talent. You should be able to, if you really have the talent, you should be able to climb up that learning zone challenge on your first attempt. That's the type of belief that they have. But people with a growth mindset, they are wired differently. They're not wired for self-protection, they're wired for value creation. So when we have a growth mindset, this drives us to become more focused on being more capable of hitting expectations. So we're not focused on the outcomes themselves, but on continually improving our ability to hit those outcomes. It also drives us to be willing to innovate to enhance success. Now, when we have a growth mindset, we're willing to not just do what we know has been successful in the past. We're willing to let go of a proven formula in order to adapt and to grab onto a new formula for success. We're willing to be more innovative here with this growth mindset. And we're more willing to approach these learning zone challenges, right? The way that people with a growth mindset approach them is they get into this pit of uncertainty. They look up, say, I want to get up there. Now, I recognize I may not get up there on my first attempt, but I know I will eventually get up there the more times that I try. So people with a growth mindset are less focused on how they look as they engage in these attempts to conquer their learning zone challenge. They're more focused on the process of getting to the top. And they know the more they try, they will eventually get up there because they believe that success is based on effort. So think about the performance context in which you operate. Are you more wired for self-protection? Hold on what has worked in the past? Or value creation, willing to be innovative, explorative, step into learning zone challenges? So that's fixed and growth mindsets. Now let's look at closed and open mindsets. Now the core tension here is between being right or finding truth and thinking optimally. So when we are in a situation where knowledge is needed, we can, in those times, be focused on, I want to be right. I want to be seen as the expert. This causes us to be a direction giver. It causes us to seek control, to avoid feedback and alternative views, because that might push against us and our knowledge, our expertise. We'll see disagreements as threats, and we'll lock into a particular strategy, what we think is best. But people that have more of an open mindset, in these types of environments, they're not focused on being right. They're focused on finding truth and thinking optimally. They want to be not a direction giver, but a question asker. They don't want control. They actually want to empower. They recognize that they're not the person that has all of the answers. And then in order to operate at the highest level, they need to seek in the perspective of others. Thus, they seek feedback and alternative views. And they see disagreement as an opportunity to learn. They're willing to continually rethink and improve their strategy, right? They just don't believe I know the right way. They're always open to a better way. And you could ask yourself, again, here, where are you? Are you more self-protective? I need to be right. I need to be in control. Or are you more value creating? I want to find truth and I want to think optimally. So that's closed and open. Next is prevention and promotion. Now, there's multiple core tensions involved here because there's actually multiple layers to this mindset. So there's a kind of a really self-protective, mid-level between self-protective and value creating, and then there's one on this value creating side. So the core tensions here are between safety, playing it safe, hitting results, and fulfilling a purpose. Let's talk through each of these. Again, this usually occurs within a performance context. So when we have more of this prevention mindset, we're more wired for safety. We want to stay in our comfort zone. We're usually not very intentional. We're more reactive. We're risk avoidant. We want to avoid problems because problems cause us pain and discomfort. We are more short-term focused. I don't care what happens. I just don't want pain and discomfort today. And we're more prone to hold on to the status quo because the status quo generally feels safe to us. What about this mid-level here, when we're more focused on hitting results? Well, this actually puts us, we're willing to get out of our comfort zone in order to hit our targets. We're more results focused. but we are quite cautious about risk. Risk can bring up problems, and we're not concerned about the pain of problems here. We're concerned about the setbacks that might occur if we encounter problems. We have a tendency to be short-term focused here as well, because I want to hit results right now or in the near future. And this drives us not to necessarily maintain the status quo, but to maintain a calculated plan that doesn't involve too much risk. Now, people on this promotion-minded side, I call this a purpose-focused promotion mindset. They are driven not to hit results or not to play it safe, but to create value for their key stakeholders. They are not results-focused, they are purpose-focused. They're willing to take the risks necessary to fulfill their purpose. They recognize that problems will occur, so they don't avoid them. They recognize and they create space for those, and they know that they're going to have to wade through those in order to fulfill their purpose. Now, when we're here, we are not short-term focused. We are long-term focused. We're willing to almost step backwards in the short term in order to take a bigger step forward in the long term. And this allows us to strategize at a higher level. So where do you tend to operate along this continuum? Are you more self-protective and having this prevention mindset? Are you more kind of in the middle where you're more focused on results? I call this a results-focused promotion mindset. Are you over here on the right-hand side with a purpose-focused promotion mindset? All right, we got one more set to go. That's the difference between an inward mindset and an outward mindset. Now, the core tension here is, again, we can think about within a performance context. Are we more prone to focus on getting ahead, or are we more focused on lifting others? Let me give you just a really quick example of this. My son had a basketball game the other day, and he has a player on his team that really likes to shoot the ball. And and because of that, he doesn't always pass or make the right pass to get the more open shot. And my son said to me, yeah, I don't really like it. I like passing the ball. Whether somebody else makes it on my team because of a pass that I made, or I make the basket myself, to me, that's the same. And I was like, oh, I love that attitude, right? You could sense that one is more wired to get ahead. The other, my son in this instance, he's better than I am, more focused on lifting others, right? So in performance context, if we have an inward mindset, we're prone to see ourselves as more important than others. We tend to see others as objects. We tend to use them as a way to help us get ahead. We seek the spotlight. We're more competitive. We're competing with others. We tend to be more critical of others, and we seek to do what's best for ourselves. But people with an outward mindset, they're more wired, again, for value creation. They see others as being just as important as themselves, which allows them to see them as people. So they don't want to compete. They want to collaborate. They want to share the spotlight with others. They're understanding of others, and they want to do what's best for their key stakeholders, not necessarily what's best for themselves. So they're willing to put themselves on the back burner, again, to create value. Now, where do you lean on these along this continuum? The more self-protective inward mindset, or the more value-creating outward mindset? And if I'm being transparent with you, this is the mindset set that I have historically struggled with the most. It's one that's why I say my son's better than I am. It's one I'm working on and one I want to improve. And I imagine as we went through each of these 4 sets of mindsets, you could probably say the same thing, that there's at least one of these where you're wired a little bit more for self-protection. You have that self-protective programming. If that's the case, then of course, now we know what to focus on. We need to upgrade our internal operating system and develop a more value-creating mindset. Now, of course, I'd love to help you with that. You could go to my website at ryangottfredson.com. You could also check out my books. I've got Success Mindsets and also my more recent book, The Elevated Leader, Leveling Up Your Leadership Through Vertical Development. So hopefully that helps you to become more self-aware and helps you see how you can become a better person and a more positive influence in the world around you. Thanks.